You're on?
Yes.
All right, so anyway, here we are.
Yes, here we are.
Here we are.
Where are we?
Where are we? Let me do introductions first. This is a good friend of mine, Karen Alexander, Dr. Karen Alexander, who is just back from
Tasmania. Back from Hobart.
where
on
she
her holiday.
where she lives.
Yeah.
And obviously, with it, you judge by this, the accent that originally from Scotland, and back on holiday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just back on holiday. 3 weeks. Short trip.
And so we thought we'd catch up, and we thought we'd do that at St Conan's Kirk, which is on the north shore of Loch Awe,
Yep.
in a place imaginatively called Loch Awe. But it's a bit of a curiosity. It's a bit special actually. And there you go. There it is. And the reason we thought we'd catch up here is because neither of us have been here for a long time, and because it's just been done up apparently.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Apparently it's got a tea room in it now.
Get away.
Yeah, in a church.
A tea room in a church. How very Methodist.
Look at it. That's
So
a beautiful
it
church.
is beautiful. So, Karen, you are a doctor of what?
There's a question. I am a doctor of philosophy in marine social science.
Is yours marine social science?
Well, that's a good question. I think my PhD might actually be in marine science, but I am a marine social scientist. Yeah.
Yeah. And what does that mean?
So that means that I spend a lot of my time looking at how the environment affects humans and how humans interact with the environment around them. And my particular focus is on conflict in the marine environment. So I'm particularly interested in people that fight against each other over different marine resources.
Like fish?
Like fish, like water quality, like pollution, like what else? Energy, all sorts. Yeah.
Brilliant. So how did you end up in marine science of all things? Because I think, as I seem to recall, you started off on a fairly normal kind of professional course. Marine science, well, in most cases, marine science wasn't like your first
No, it wasn't.
spontaneous choice.
No, it wasn't. So,
Should we go and look at Caroline Agnes Campbell? Yeah, go on, sorry.
How did I end up in it? That's a really good question, actually.
Because you were in Glasgow, weren't you?
Yeah, I always wanted to actually be a politician. That was honestly, given the current situation we're in now, a bit unbelievable. But yeah, wanted to be a politician. So I stood for election when I was about 24. Studied politics and sociology at university.
Yeah.
Stood for election.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, stood for election and then decided I really hated politics and I didn't want to be a politician after all.
Good choice.
Yep. So what did I do after that? Then I ended up working all sorts of random jobs. A little bit this, a little bit that, and then...
Like contract management and...
Yeah, well, even before that, I was a marketing assistant for a theatre company.
All right.
I worked as a team manager for Scottish Power.
And you were born and bred here.
I was born and bred in Conan, yeah. So I did all of this in Glasgow.
Yeah.
And then I ended up working at the Scottish Association for Marine Science as a contract.
That rings a
administrator.
bell. Contract administrator.
So I did all the project finances. And yeah, I just kind of thought, God, those scientists are having a good time, aren't they?
Yeah.
They get to travel lots, they get to do fun things.
Crazy.
What am I doing? So I went away back to university. Went to Manchester, did a master's.
Yeah.
And then ended up back at SAMS to do a PhD.
And was it the right decision?
Oh, God, yes. Best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Because now I actually have a job I enjoy going to every day. I hated going to work every day, pretty much in every other job I ever had in my life. Whereas being a researcher, I love it. And yeah, I don't know, I get to travel all over the world.
Like
Get
where?
to meet cool people like you, John.
Yeah. Yeah. YouTubers.
YouTubers, yeah.
That's the new me, the new reinvention of self.
New
YouTuber. Yeah, right. Yeah, so you get to travel up. So where have you been?
Where have I been?
Where have you not been?
just in the last year, I've been to Antarctica, I've been to Japan, I've been to the US. Where else have I been? Yeah, it's probably it in the last year. Oh, I was in France for a couple of days last summer.
Did you work out how many continents you've done
I've been to every continent.
this year?
Not this. Oh, maybe I have this year. Yes, because I live in Australia.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
I have been to every continent this year, in the last year.
Yeah, but of course, how does that? So, given you're a marine scientist
Yeah,
with a penchant for ecology,
yeah.
how does that tie in with your? How does your carbon footprint tie in?
Go on, don't
Is-
talk to me about my
is that-
carbon footprint. It's a disaster.
Oh, so is this look?
Yeah. Oh, maybe
Oh,
this
well.
is meant to be hidden.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
that's
see
it.
this right here.
No, I think that just goes to the back of the Chancellor. Yeah, they have redone it. You know, somebody stole all the lead.
Somebody stole all the lead.
Yeah, and a young girl, teenager, set up a crowdfunding
To fix it all.
to pay for some new lead. Yeah,
Wow, that's pretty epic.
they did a good
Good
job
on
actually, haven't they? Look at that, it's pinned and everything. Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
So, actually, just as a footnote, I think we're in the cloister, are we?
I think this is the cloister, yeah.
And look at the roof, beautiful.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It's just
Wow.
fabulous. So, as far as I know, this place was finished in the 1930s. It was a brother and sister who had it, who built it from the ground upwards
Yeah, right.
for their mother to have a church close to their posh house, which is on that island that we just drove past,
Oh,
where
in Shonen.
where the
Is it in
tra-
Shonen?
where the traffic lights were.
Yeah.
And so it's quite recent, but it's got lots of architectural gems all over the place in the detail. Well
I
worth.
think some of it, some of the stony summer came from Ben Cruachan, didn't it?
It all rolled down the hill.
Yeah.
Apparently, none of it was quarried. All this was found on the hill
And brought down.
and then just masoned when they got down here.
That's incredible, isn't it?
It is. Shall we go inside? So where were we?
Oh, carbon footprint.
Carbon foot. Oh yeah. Tap danced away from that one.
Oh, man.
So your carbon footprint is a little bit of a challenge, is it?
It is. The whole flying around the world thing is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
And obviously being based in Australia means that I have to fly to get to everywhere. I work at IMAS, the Institute for Marine and Antarctic Studies, which
Right.
is a pretty big marine research institute. It's number 5 in the world.
All right. How many people?
Oh, God knows. Probably maybe 300, 400
Really?
scientists, something like that. It's pretty big. It's bigger than Sam's.
And what's Hobart like?
So it's a cool city. It's got a population of 250,000, so it feels like an overgrown town rather than a city.
Yeah.
Yet it's got all of the really cool cultural things that you want from a city. So loads of arts, loads of music, plenty of hip little cafes and bars, lots of theatres.
So it's on the Southern Ocean, right?
It is, yes.
So is the Southern Ocean cold? Whether the Southern Ocean is cold, or is it just like the Atlantic?
I think it depends on how south you are, I guess. Where we are, it's similar temperatures to the Atlantic. So this is supposedly got a fragment of bone from Robert the Bruce
So it's there.
in this figure, yeah.
So it's nice. So Hobart's nice.
Yeah, I love it. And the weather is way better than the west coast of Scotland.
Seriously, that wouldn't take very much at all,
That's true.
would it? So that's brilliant. And then you went to Antarctica. That's like one of the most amazing bucket list things. Because I know you've got a little bit of thing about people who go to Antarctica on the basis of it being on their bucket list as opposed to going for a good valid reason.
But it is pretty special. And actually, you just mentioned there about people that are crazy enough to swim in icy regions
Yeah.
or whatever. We did do a polar plunge when we were in
did you?
Antarctica. Yeah.
Did you do it for cash?
No, just did it to do it because, you have to. I was a total wimp though, compared to some of the others. So some of the others actually did it properly down within on the Antarctic Peninsula. I was a complete wimp. I wasn't really ready for it then.
And where were you?
So I waited a bit later. So I waited till we got to a place called Deception Island. which is
What a brilliant name, Deception.
It's an amazing place.
Deception Island.
So it's a live volcano.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's very cool. So all of the island is black sand.
Yeah.
And but the great thing about it is that the sand is really, really warm, so you just see all the steam rising up from the sand.
Oh, wow.
And so it's a quite a nice place to do a polar plunge because the water's really cold, but the seabed's really warm as you walk in.
Oh, right, yeah. So that,
'cause
oh,
of
right,
the
I
heat
get
from the
you.
volcano.
So, definite cheat then.
Yes, total cheat.
Right, let's see if you've got a chair here. No. No.
Probably not.
I haven't got my name either. Well, it's good they're putting some money back in it, 'cause it was a bit rough, wasn't it, for a long time?
Yeah, it never looked like this last time I was
No.
there, for sure.
Didn't there used to be an angel? There's an angel. So you actually got in the Southern Ocean
Yep.
at Antarctica.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty cold. I was in for about 2 seconds and straight back out
Oh,
again.
yeah, despite the warm floor.
Despite the warm floor.
What were you doing there?
I was down there as part of a Women in Science leadership program, which is a bit random, right? Why would you go to Antarctica for that? But the idea is that it's the first place in the world that you can see the impacts of humans on the environment. 'Cause you can kind of see everything melting and all this sort of stuff.
When you say the first place you can see, it's where
It's most obvious,
Yeah.
I guess.
because there's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
distraction from man-made artifice.
Yeah, exactly. So, so they do this big trip, 100 women a year, down to Antarctica.
Yeah.
As part of this, to try and build up the number of women that are involved in dealing with global issues, particularly things like climate change and marine pollution and stuff like that. So that's why it's in Antarctica. And it was one of the coolest things I've ever done,
Yeah, but it was.
I reckon, yeah.
Okay, good segue into women in science, because as you said earlier, actually becoming a scientist after all those random jobs has opened up the world for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it wouldn't necessarily have been the same case if you
In
were
any other
doing a
sector.
contract administration in
Yeah, no,
X, Y, or
definitely
Z, would it? So,
Yeah, exactly.
so I mean, I assume, I'm putting words in your mouth, but I assume you're something of an advocate for men and women to get into science?
For everybody to get into science, I think we just need more scientists, full stop. Let's head outside. It feels a bit like a castle in here,
Doesn't it? All these lovely bits.
Yeah.
And all the Masonic stuff as well that's just hidden away is really cool too, I think.
Yeah, so no, I'm a complete... I'm a scientist that can't figure out how to open a door.
Yeah, well, there you go.
How many scientists hesitate to...
Yeah, how many scientists does it take to open a church door? Well, first of all, define church.
There's this huge problem actually at the moment where, and this is part of the reason for the programme that we were doing, right? There's this huge problem where loads and loads of women are going into science, so loads of women are doing science in school, and then they're going on and doing PhDs, so we've got equal numbers of men and women doing PhDs. In fact, there's slightly more women at the moment.
Yeah.
But then something happens along the way, and all of the women start dropping out, and so we've hardly got any professors. I think something like 15% of professors are female. So there's this huge problem, they call it the leaky pipeline.
Yeah.
And so basically it's like these women are just dropping out of this pipeline all along the way.
Okay, shall we be radical?
Yes.
Can I ask a radical question?
Yes.
Is that because of there is something vaguely toxic about the legacy culture that's existed in science, or do you think that's all gone now?
No. Yeah, that absolutely exists. So there's still very much a sort of old boys club component to science.
Yeah.
There's a lot of structures that are still in place, you know, that perpetuate the number of men that are able to go into the industry. So things like,
So it's nepotistic.
it's very. I was trying to think of a way not to use that word, but yeah, it's very nepotistic. So, you know, it's always the same thing. People you know and people you work with, you tend to choose people that are similar to you, that you know you can get on with, and all that sort of thing. And so therefore, you bring those people on to work for you, and they do the same, and it just continues and continues.
It's probably less challenging than you'd want in science as a discipline.
Yeah, exactly.
You actually would want some mavericks and challengers and
exactly. People that have, you know, crazy ways
different
of doing
ideas.
things and
Whoa,
yeah,
steady.
different ideas.
But do you think it's getting any better? Do you think it's getting any better?
Yeah, I think it is getting better. I think it's just one of these things that takes a really long time to
work through.
Yeah, you know.
New
any
generation.
big changes like that, it's going to take several generations. Lots of companies now, particularly universities, are trying to put structures into place to start addressing some of these things. So a lot of the problem for women is the whole caring thing.
Yeah.
You know, having children or looking after elderly parents. And the fact that they have to drop out of work or become part-time for that, and academia with the sort of things that it needs to operate, they don't quite work together. And so that's those sorts of structures, the incentive structures and the reward structures and things like that, they just don't really work with being part-time or you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, all the usuals basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So, more people in science, please.
Yes, please.
And more infrastructure for women to stay in science once they actually get in science.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then the other thing,
there's more.
You're writing a book.
I am writing a book.
And your deadline is when? You shouldn't really be here, should you?
No. My deadline is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, for this book.
For this book, yeah.
Which is 65,000 words.
Well, it's currently 65,000. I've actually got to deliver 70 to 80,000 words.
Oh, have you?
So I'm a little bit short, yeah.
Just put loads of references in.
That's what I'm doing at the moment.
Just loads of quotes.
You know,
So we just let everybody know where we are.
Yeah.
You do it because you know the geography here way better than I do. So we're on Loch Awe.
We are on Loch Awe. So Loch Awe is the longest freshwater loch in Scotland. Is that correct? Or the widest? Or is it the biggest?
Is it the longest if you include both arms at the top? Isn't there a cheat to it?
Is there a cheat to it? Oh,
Yeah. So Kilkern Castle
it's down the bottom.
is there. You can just see it. Which is another day out. It's fabulous. And so what are the hills at the back there?
The Crook and Horseshoe, I think. I can't quite see
Yeah,
it
no, I
from
think
here,
you're
but
right.
it's part of the Crook and Horseshoe. And then the hills all out behind are the Damali Horseshoe.
Yeah.
So and then right over the back here, looking over to some of the tiny hills.
Train.
Oh, train!
Invisible train, ghost train just went past, folks.
And right in front of us is the lovely West Highland line up to Oban.
Yes. Yeah. And on the clock tower, well, where you think there might have been a clock, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. You think so?
Is some nice carving going on. And then these the hares, I think, are they? Hares and a dog. So there's a dog.
Oh yes, it is.
There's a dog chasing two hares.
That's amazing.
For the water
For the
spouts.
downpipes,
Yeah, for the downpipe.
Incredible.
So another interesting factoid.
Yes.
The sundial. The reason that the church was built here is because of the view from that sundial.
Really?
Because, as we both know, a sundial is completely redundant in Scotland.
As we can see at the moment.
Because
it just started raining.
it's just never going to work, is it? I mean, it's not going to be useful. So apparently, it's all down to the view from here.
So Caroline Agnes Campbell is who the sundial was erected for by her son. I can promise you that the sundial is currently not working.
Really? Astonishing!
Who would have thought?